We have to always remember that when you're dealing with an audience or you're building a community of fans, whether they are comedians, whether they are or comedy fans, whether they're music fans, these are relationships that you're building. You're building not just once off. And if you have any hope of continuing, and some of the most successful musicians, comedians, artists, some of whom you'll see in the session after this, comedians, have nurtured relationships with their audience over years. And by doing that, they've been consistent, they're being available, and they are making themselves known through the platforms that they have available to them. And the important thing is to nurture those relationships. Think of them, it's nurturing the relationship with the audience as much as you would with your business partner or your suppliers. And remembering that it is that sort of transactional relationship ultimately. That went too far. Different people do things differently. This is an interesting one that might seem a bit obvious, and a lot of these seem obvious, and I think they're obvious for a reason because there's a lot of truth in them, is you as a promoter, as a marketer, as someone who's trying to sell tickets, who's trying to connect with your audience, you need to understand that your audience is different, that different audiences, different people do things differently. You may love Twitter as an example, but don't really go onto Instagram. So for you to decide that your campaign is primarily a Twitter-based campaign could cut you short. But also to remember that you need to use the resources of your team, your marketing, your messaging, and all the different facets of it to create a very solid, strong campaign ultimately that does more than just tell one particular message. How the audience engages with you or with music or with messaging, how they buy their tickets and how they engage with your message is going to be, there's no science to it. And ultimately what you need to do is go out and see for yourself how other musicians, how other events, how other promoters and other brands are communicating and saying, well, this works for me, this doesn't work for me. And one of the examples that I'll go through a bit later for an event that we worked on with Volkswagen was a great case study of how we were able to target a particular audience and communicate with them very specifically.